Hello, my dear friends. Hope you are well during the COVID-19 or pandemic situation. Now, today we will start, or we are going to start Constitutional Law Second, or the name of the subject is Constitutional Law Second. And the topic of today's lecture is the concept of fundamental rights. Basically, in this lecture, we will discuss the concept of the fundamental rights, origin and development of the fundamental rights, nature and scope of the fundamental rights, and some judicial pronouncement which is passed by the Supreme Court regarding the scope and nature of the fundamental rights. So, the origin of the fundamental rights or the concept of the fundamental rights, which are also known as the natural rights or the human rights or basic rights or inalienable rights, is based on the theory of the natural law. It means that the concept of the fundamental right is based on the natural law, and these kinds of rights known as the basic rights and human rights, or as well as the inalienable rights or inherent rights. And the idea that people have certain rights which cannot be taken away with the theory of the natural law. It means that the idea of the fundamental right means that kind of rights included in the constitution of each and every country, and these kind of rights cannot be taken away by any kind of authority, because there are also some provisions mentioned regarding the fundamental right not taken away from the people by any kind of authority. This theory basically states that natural order exists in the universe because all things are created by the nature or by the God. It means we all are aware from the very beginning or from the ancient times, we all are aware regarding that the rights or the basic rights basically exist in the universe because all things are created by the nature or by the God. Like the COVID-19 during this situation, that is also the created by the God or by the nature. Everything has its own qualities and subject to the rule of nature to achieve its full potential, because the people of the country protected by the documents which is created by the country, like known as the constitutional law of the country. According to this theory, it means that according to natural law theory, anything that detracts from man's human qualities or prevents their full achievement violates the law of the nature. If according to the natural law theory, if anything that curtail from the man's human quality, it means that anything basically curtailed by any authority from man's human quality or prevents their full achievement or prevents the full achievement to the people, that means it is the violation of the nature or it is the violation of the natural law. This idea led to the belief that man and governments everywhere are bound by natural law. It means that in the whole world, the man's basically or human being basically and governments everywhere are bound by natural law, and after the enforcement of the constitution in each and every country, they all are regulated and governed by the documents or by the single document that is known as the constitutional law of each and every country, it being higher than man's law. The Roman philosopher Cicero Cicero is the Roman philosopher, held that the view that this natural law could be discovered from human reason, and the natural law basically discovered from the human reason. This theory of natural law created an awareness of natural rights, and various thinkers and philosophers started describing the inherent and sacred rights of man in the divine law. After the evolvement of the natural law theory, there are number of philosophers, or most of the philosophers basically created or started controversy, or they have basically formulated the definition of the natural law, or regarding the fundamental law. Some says that these kinds of rights is known as the inherent rights. Some are saying that these kinds of rights is known as the sacred rights, or some are says that that is the divine law, and these kinds of law is only for the men. All other rights are derived from these rights. The fundamental rights or the basic rights is the most important part of each and every country and each and every constitution, and all other rights apart from the fundamental rights, apart from the basic rights, all other rights are derived from these rights, or from the basic rights, from the fundamental rights, as direct implications or applications of their principle. Now, natural rights thus headed to the formulation of human rights, and the influence of natural rights can be found not only in the English Bill of Rights 1689. These kinds of rights not found in the English Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights 1689. These kinds of fundamental rights, basic rights are not founded, or you can say natural rights are not found in the English Bill of Rights 1689. The French Declaration of Rights of Man 1789, the United States Bill of Rights 1791, Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948, but also in the part 3rd of the Constitution of India, which deals with the fundamental right. It means that that is not a guaranteed right in the English Bill of Rights, but you can say that, or it means that we can say that natural rights thus headed to the formulation of the human rights, and it will be influenced of natural rights can be found only in the English Bill of Rights, but these kinds of rights are not the guaranteed rights. And after that, the French Declaration came into force, or you can say French Declaration of Rights 1789 came into force, and some basic rights or natural rights included in the French Declaration, and after that the United States Bill of Rights 1791, because the Constitution of United States of America came into force on 1787. The Constitution of United States of America came into force on 1789, but these kinds of rights, or in the name of fundamental right, basically not included or not founded in the United States of American Constitution 1787, but the rights basically included in the United States Bill of Rights. United States Bill of Rights 1791. These kinds of basic rights included in the United States Bill of Rights 1791, and after that the documents, or the most important document, came into force in the name or in the title Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948, UDHR 1948. UDHR 1948, Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948 came into force, but also in the part 3rd of the Constitution, or you can say the UDHR came into force just before the commencement of the Indian Constitution, and after that, or after the Universal Declaration rights, we have enacted or adopted the Constitution of India. And in the Constitution of India, we have also included the fundamental rights in part 3rd of the Indian Constitution. Part 3rd of the Indian Constitution. These kinds of fundamental rights included in part 3rd of the Indian Constitution, and these rights are the guaranteed rights. Guaranteed rights. These rights are not a gift by the state to the citizen, but it is the guaranteed rights. Nobody have a right to violate the fundamental right. If any authority or any government violates these kinds of rights, which is included in part 3rd of the Indian Constitution, it means that the authority violates the constitutional law, or the Supreme Court have power to declare the law is null and void. Why? Because we have living in the parliamentary, or we have the parliamentary form of government, and in the parliamentary form of government, the people of the country elected the member of the Lok Sabha, and the member of Lok Sabha represents at the time of making of law, at the time of any kind of amendment to the citizens of the country. But the parliament also have power to amend the constitution, but the parliament basically amend or enact any kind of law, or the law violates the part 3rd of the Indian Constitution. It means that the Supreme Court have power to declare the law is declared null and void. The concept of fundamental rights are originated or traced to the 13th century England. The fundamental right basically originated, or you can say the concept of fundamental rights are originated or traced to the 13th century. 13th century in England. 13th century in England. It was 1215 that the people of England revolted against the King John. At the enforcement their demand for a repetition of their claims against the royal absolutism. It means that there is a monarchy system in Britain or in England. There is a monarchy, or you can say constitutional monarchy. They have also followed the constitution. It is clear that in England there is not a written constitution, but they have the constitutional monarchy. But the people basically against the royal absolutism, and in 1215 they have, or the people of England revolt against the King John. And after that, the most important document came into force, or you can say introduced before the King John. That document is known as the Magna Carta. (1215). Magna Carta 1215. Which evidence people's success was a written document, or you can say the Magna Carta is known as the first written document all over the world, and this document basically provides some basic rights, not the fundamental rights, but the Magna Carta basically deals regarding only some basic rights, and it enjoyed respect for the law by the king, prohibited denial of or delayed justice, prohibited unlawful detention and excessive fine. It means that after the enforcement of the written document, of the first written document, it means that the Magna Carta basically provides some basic rights, and it protected the peoples of England, and it prohibited the denial, or it prohibited the delayed justice, and it prohibited unlawful detention. After the enforcement of the Magna Carta, there is no provision to detain, or you can say any authority not have a right to detain the people, or you can say the unlawful detain by any authority, or also there is a excessive fine provided by the Magna Carta. And after that, the development of fundamental rights in 1962, the Petition of Rights In 1962, the Petition of Right was presented to King Charles I. Presented to King Charles I. In 1962, the Petition of Rights was presented to the King Charles I, and which was the first step. And the Petition of Right was the first step in the transfer of sovereignty from the king to the parliament. It means that before 1962, in British law, in British constitution, the sovereignty basically vested to the king. But by the Petition of Right, or you can say that the Petition of Right was the first step in the transfer of the concept of sovereignty from the king to the parliament. Now, presently the Parliament of Britain is the sovereign authority. Means that there are three organs of the government. First one is the Parliament or legislature, judiciary, and you can say executive. But in British law, the Parliament is the sovereign authority, and it means that the Parliament has the sovereign power, and no other authority have power in Britain to declare the law which was enacted by the Parliament is a void, like the Indian Constitution, because the Indian Constitution have power to the judicial review as per Article 13, and in India the Parliament is not the sovereign body, but the Constitution of India is the supreme law of the land. So the Petition of Right was the first step to transfer the sovereignty from the king to the parliament, and it means that the Petition of Right was passed in the name of Bill of Right. The Petition of Right passed in the name of Bill of Rights 1689. 1662, the Petition of Rights introduced, and this Petition of Right basically passed in the name of the Bill of Rights 1689. Now, the Constitution of England. Constitution of England, or you can say British Constitution. British Constitution. British Constitution. The Constitution of England is unwritten constitution. We all are aware, or as a law student, basically we all know regarding the British Constitution. The Constitution of Britain is unwritten constitution, and the supremacy of Parliament is its dominant characteristics. because the parliament is the sovereign authority in England, not the constitution. Why? The constitution in England is not in the written form, is not written in the single documents. As a result, there is no formal declaration of fundamental rights of the people. There is no formal declaration in the British Constitution regarding the fundamental rights of the people in England. However, there prevails in England the concept of rule of law, which is the very foundation of the British Constitution. In British Constitution, the fundamental rights or the chapter of the fundamental rights not declared formally as a fundamental right for the people of England. But the most important features of the British law is known as the rule of law, or the rule of law basically is the very foundation. Rule of law is the very foundation of the British Constitution. After the rule of law, the enforcement of the rule of law by the Dicey, the concept or the Constitution of England is developed through the rule of law, or the meaning of the rule of law is that no man is above the law. Each and everyone under the control of law. As such, the word law is not defined anywhere in the Constitution, but you can say, or it means we can say that the law basically is any rules, regulation, notification, custom, usage, etc. These kinds of words included in the definition of law. So rule of law means that no man is above the law. We all are governed according to the law. We all are followed the rules and regulation which is enacted by the authority of the country. Means in England the parliament is the sovereign authority. If the parliament enacted any kind of law in Britain, then the people or the government also have followed or regulated according to that kind of law. But in India, the constitutional law also the supreme law of the land. So the people or the citizen of the country, or as well as the government of India or state, regulate or work according to the Constitution of India. The rule of law explains that an individual in England has the right and freedom to take whatever action he likes, so long as he does not violate any rule of ordinary law for the land. It means that if there is any ordinary law or any ordinary rule enforced in the country, then the rule of law basically not violates that kind of ordinary rule, and the rights of the individual are secured by the ordinary law there also. The proclamation of certain rights of the people made from time to time, or you can say that the proclamation of the certain rights or enforcement of the certain rights of the people made from time to time in the form of the charters. It means that there are number of charters came into force, and these kinds of charter includes the certain rights, certain basic rights, certain natural rights, or some kinds of the human rights. The first charter we have already discussed, the Magna Carta, and second one is the Bill of Rights. These kinds of charter is the most important charter, and these kinds of charter included some basic rights or some natural or human rights for the protection of the citizen of the country. The charters are binding on the executive but impose no limitation on the power of parliament. Means there are number of kinds of charter like the Magna Carta or the Bill of Rights 1689 or 1215 respectively. These kinds of charter are binding on the executive. Means these kinds of charter or the basic rights are binding on the executive, but there is no limitation imposed by the charter on the power of the parliament, because in Britain the parliament have the sovereign power or the supreme authority, not the constitution in Britain. The supreme supreme authority like the Indian or as well as like the American Constitution. So the protection of rights and freedoms of the individual in England therefore rests not on constitutional guarantee. Means we have say, or you can say we have already said that the part 3rd of the Indian Constitution or the fundamental rights which is included in part 3rd of the Indian Constitution is known as the guaranteed rights. It is not a gift to the people by the state, but it is a guaranteed right. No authority have power to violate the provisions of the fundamental rights except the procedure established by law. But in Britain, the protection of the rights and freedom of the individual in England not on the constitutional guarantee, but on public opinion, good sense of the people, a strong common law, traditions and wisdom of Parliament itself. Why? Because there is not a written provision, there is not a written document in the form of the Constitution, but there is only a conventional law, customary law, wisdom, common law, traditions, etc. known as the Constitution, and the Parliament have power to make the law on the basis of customary law, on the basis of conventional law, on the basis of tradition, on the basis of the wisdom of Parliament. The courts in England adopt a rights-based approach. The court in England, the courts in England adopted a right-based approach, and inherent legislation and the exercise of administrative discretion to be in conformity with the fundamental rights. Because in England the court also not have power to declare any law is void which is enacted by the Parliament, because in England the court also not have authority like the Indian Constitution or as well as the United States of American Constitution. Because in the American Constitution there is a scope of the judicial activism, there is a scope of the judicial review, and also we have adopted the concept of judicial review from the United States of American Constitution. So in the Indian Constitution or as well as in the American Constitution, the court have power of the judicial review on any kind of law which is enacted by the Parliament if these kinds of law in contravention of part 3rd or fundamental rights of each and every country. Next is the American Constitution. American Constitution. American Constitution. The American Constitution basically is the first written constitution all over the world. It is adopted, it means that the Americans adopted the Constitution making for securing their Bill of Rights 1689. The Constitution basically adopted by the Americans only for the secure of the Bill of Rights, and the original Constitution framed in original Constitution of America framed in 1787. The original Constitution of America framed in 1787 and came into force in 1789 and came into force in 1789. The American Constitution adopted or framed, or you can say that the original American Constitution framed in 1787 and came into force on 1789. These kinds of document, or you can say the American Constitution also, did not contain any fundamental right for the Americans. The Americans basically adopted the Constitution in 1789, but they have also not contained any basic rights, any fundamental rights for the Americans. It was known with the serious condemnation. Consequently, the first 10 amendments of the American Constitution, the first 10 amendment of the American Constitution were enacted in 1791. First 10 amendment basically were enacted in 1791 and incorporating the fundamental rights, and these amendments have been described as the American Bill of Rights. These 10 amendments known as the American Bill of Rights. The first 10 amendment enacted in 1791 and incorporating the concept, or you can say included the concept of the fundamental rights, and these amendments have been described, or these amendment known as the American Bill of Rights. And the American Bill of Rights is known as the fundamental rights, and the Bill of Rights protected the citizens of the America. Now, the rights are binding, or you can say the Bill of Rights, the American Bill of Rights are binding on the executive or as well as the legislature, because there is no authority, or the parliament in America is not a sovereign authority. The Constitution or the Bill of Rights is known as the supreme law of the land or supreme law of America. It means that the rights or Bill of Rights are binding on the executive or as well as the legislature. And the courts in America therefore are also competent to declare an act of the Congress as unconstitutional. In America, the Congress is known as the legislature. It means that in America, the Congress enacted any kind of act, or the Congress make any kind of act, or that kind of act inconsistent or contravene in Bill of Rights or with the Bill of Rights, then the Court of the America have also power to declare the law is a violation of any provision of their Bill of Rights. Next, the fundamental rights in India, nature and scope. The fundamental rights in India. Fundamental rights in India. Fundamental rights in India. The framers of the Indian Constitution follow the American model in adopting and incorporating the fundamental rights for the people of the India. Means that simply we can say that the concept of the fundamental rights under the Indian Constitution adopted by the American Constitution, but also provides a speedy and effective remedy for their enforcement. Means we have also a fundamental right which is provided some remedies for the violation of the fundamental rights. Part 3rd of the Constitution is set to contain the Bill of Rights for the people of India. The fundamental rights basically included in Part 3rd part third of the Indian Constitution, and the part third of the Indian Constitution is known as the Indian Bill of Rights. Indian Bill of Rights. Part third of the Indian Constitution is said to contain the Bill of Rights for the people of India, and these rights are similar to the Bill of Rights of the United States of America, because we have adopted the concept of the fundamental rights from the United States of American Bill of Rights, and the rights also secured and the necessary consequences of the declaration contained in the preamble of the Constitution of India, means wherein the people of India solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to themselves justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Also means that the preamble of the Indian Constitution also secure the some rights, that means the justice means the social justice, economic justice, and political justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity protected by the Constitution from the very first or from the opening of the Constitution. It means that preamble basically secures these kinds of rights under the Indian Constitution. These rights have been declared as sacrosanct, inalienable, and inviolable rights. A significant feature of the Indian Bill of Rights means that significant feature of the fundamental rights in India is that the remedy for the enforcement of the fundamental rights is itself declared as a fundamental right in part 3rd of the Indian Constitution. Means that Article 32 of the Indian Constitution deals regarding the remedy for the enforcement of the fundamental right, and Article 32 itself a fundamental right according to the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar or Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar also said that the most important right under the Constitution of India is known as Article 32 of the Indian Constitution. Why? Because Article 32 of the Indian Constitution provides a remedy for the enforcement of the fundamental right, or as well as it itself a fundamental right declared in the chapter or declared in part 3rd of the Indian Constitution. Now, an act of the state, whether legislative or executive, if inconsistent with fundamental right, is declared to be null and void, because Article 13 of the Indian Constitution also have the judicial review. If the law enacted by the legislature or as well as executive, that kind of law is inconsistent with part 3rd, inconsistent with fundamental right, or violation of the fundamental right, that the court have power to declare that law is null and void. And the nullity of such act does not rest upon judicial pronouncement, but upon the expression or upon the express provision contained in Article 13 of the Indian Constitution. Part 3rd of the Indian Constitution, wherein has been incorporated a long list of fundamental rights, is described as the Magna Carta of India. There are number of fundamental rights, means the from the time of enforcement of the Constitution, or we can say that at the time of enforcement of the Constitution there were 7 fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution. But after the 44th Amendment in 1978, the one fundamental right removed from the list of the part 3rd of the Constitution is known as right to property. Right to property. Right to property removed by amendment 1978. 78. By 44th Amendment, right to property repealed from the list or removed from the list of fundamental rights. Now at present we have 6 fundamental rights under the Indian Constitution, and the inclusion of chapter on fundamental right in the Constitution of India is in accordance with the trend of the modern democratic thoughts. There are some judicial pronouncements for the development of fundamental rights. The first one is A.K. Gopalan versus State of Madras. A.K. Gopalan versus State of Madras. AIR 1950, Supreme Court 27. In this case, the aim of having a declaration of fundamental rights is to withdraw certain elementary rights from the changes of political controversy. It means that some rights basically withdraw as per the Supreme Court in this judgment only for the changes of the political controversy, to place them beyond the reach of shifting majority in the legislature of the country, and to regard them as inviolable under the condition. Certain elementary rights such as the right to life, right to liberty, freedom of speech, freedom of faith and or freedom of religion, so on, should not be submitted to vote, they being not depend on outcome of any elections. And another case, the most important case, is known as Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India. The most important case is that Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India, AIR 1978, Supreme Court 597. In this case, the fundamental rights represent the basic values by the people of India, and they are calculated to protect the dignity of the individual and create a condition to which every human being can develop his personality to the fullest extent. Means that the fundamental right is known as the or you can say the fundamental right or part 3rd of the Indian Constitution represents the basic values by the people of India, and the concept of fundamental right has been given a more specific and universal texture by the Charter of the Human Rights enacted by the United Nations Organization, that means the Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948. Another case is known as I.R. Coelho. I.R. Coelho. I.R. Coelho was the state of Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu, AIR 2007, Supreme Court 861. In this case, a 9 judges bench of the Apex Court observed that the rights were not the limited rights, the rights not the narrow rights, and the also rights provide a broad check against the violation and the expressed by the state authorities. These rights have proved to be the most significant constitutional control on the government, particularly legislative power or as well as the executive power. They form a comprehensive task against the arbitrary exercise of state power in any area. And there are also, again in Maneka Gandhi, the Apex Court has widened the ambit of the fundamental right and has sought to bring these rights in conformity with the global trends in human rights jurisprudence. And Again, the Honorable Justice S.H. Kapadia is speaking on behalf of the Constitutional Bench of the Apex Court in M. Nagaraj versus Union of India 2007, explaining the importance of the fundamental rights and observed that it is a fallacy to regard fundamental right as a gift from the state to its citizen. But we can say the fundamental right is not a gift, it is a guaranteed right. If any authority violates these kinds of rights, means the Supreme Court have power to punish that kind of authority, or the law enacted by the Parliament in contravention of Part 3 of the Indian Constitution, it means that the Supreme Court have power to declare that kind of law is null and void. So that this lecture basically is based on the basic concept of the fundamental rights and scope of the fundamental rights, etc. Thank you so much.